What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the final of the Cup of Nations from 2024. Um, it's a bit unfortunate the way that this tournament ended, but despite the kind of bullshit that you may or may not have heard of, the games were actually quite good. So I think they deserve to be posted on the channel, at least some way, somehow. If you saw the how not to redline abuse the upper bracket final or whatever the video I made, maybe you know how this ends, but maybe you didn't see that video, or maybe you just are interested in looking at some other really good games. I hope either way, this video, this commentary will supply what you're looking for. But yeah, so this is the upper bracket final of the 2024 Cup of Nations. Ended up being the grand final due to some tomfoolery, shall we say, where the rest of the lower bracket didn't end up getting played. Blah, 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 blah. A lot of stuff that doesn't matter. But it's me as Kush, it's Seminaked as Arverni. A very good matchup, and a very interesting one. I'm going to try to keep this commentary more straight to the point. We'll just watch the games. I'll go into some detail where appropriate, but hopefully I'm not going to spend too long, because otherwise, with 5 games, this could go quite a long time. So, without further ado, let's get right into it in Game 1. Alright, so here we are on Nemesis, which will be fortunately the map for every game in the series, which it should be. Let's go over my army first as Kush here. Again, if you don't remember, there are specific rules for each faction, so Kush can only take 3 elite infantry, so that'll be our Hotels or Disciples of Epidemic. There are rules about the same unit. I think it's like 5 same for like this for Kush, maybe 4 for the Cav and stuff, but 5 for the spears. Or maybe it's like 4 in total, and then yeah, something like that. Arverni, for example, can only take 3 chosen swords or oathsworn, and stuff like that. There's rules about archers and cav and stuff, but they don't really matter too much for this particular matchup, where pretty much the infantry rules are the only thing that are seriously gonna impact anything. Arverni has, I think, 11 infantry max, and Kush 12. So maybe it's a little advantage potentially there if you want to take more infantry. But anyway, without going too much into the rules, I mean, you can go look. I'll link, I guess, the tournament page in the description. But let's go look at the army. So I've brought 3 Nubian bowmen and 1 tribesman. These are like really cheap javelin men. These are 3 archers with 50 health and 150 range, so pretty good for the price, 360. I have 5 Kushite slave spearmen as a spear force. They're quite good. They have 80 range javelins, so they can throw them pretty far. Only 2 of them, so they're not Thurios really, but they're still good. Decent melee stats as well for a really cheap unit at 280. I have 2 Kushite slave infantry. These guys have Pila. They cost 220. They're not really good, but they only cost a little bit. So they'll lose to Celtics, of course, but they can still put up a little bit of a fight. Decent melee defense. They have a sword. They have Pila, 40 armor, 50 health. You can't go wrong with that. I have 1 Shotel and 3 Disciples of Epidemic making up my main killing power. And then I have 2 of these Kushite Real Guard and 3 Armored Desert Cav. Kushite Real Guard, really good for the price. Armored Desert Cav, not so much. Quickly, let's go over the army of Mr. Seminaked. He's got 4 Celtic Slingers up front, very standard. He has 4 Heavy Horse as well, and 1 Noble Horse Genius, 2 Oathsworn, 1 Chosen Sword. Again, there's that max 3 of those units, so he does have 3 Celtic Warriors as well. And his Spear Force is a couple of Levy Freemen, and 3 Levy Freemen, and 2 Spear Warriors. Or actually, Chosen Spearmen, sorry. Chosen Spearmen, so very interesting pick, the Chosen Spears. And so, yeah, I guess we can quickly just talk about the dynamic of the game because it'll apply. Basically, my plan is to abuse the 3 Epidemics and the Archers, and my plan is just to kill infantry. Like, if I can kill the infantry with my 3 Disciples plus the 1 Shotel, which should be more than a match for the 2 Oathsworn and the 1 Chosen Sword, even though he does have the 3 Celtic Warriors. He is going to have a big advantage on the spear front, though, with the Chosen Spears, so they could also do something. But I have a lot more just chafe, like shitty low tier units. I have basically 7 of them. And so all these guys need to do is just buy me time for the disciples to cook everything, for the archers to kill some units. And I also have the elite cav advantage, although his cavalry is in general much stronger. The heavy horse are a huge upgrade over the armored desert cav, but these 2 elite cav can kill a lot of cav if they're put in the right situation. They're not very good infantry killers. No elite melee cav are really, because they just take too much damage to peel and they cost too much and they don't kill enough on the charge compared with, for example, a cataphract. They can still kill, infantry obviously, but it's just not good to waste them, basically. These guys I need to kill Cav. His Cav could be more aggressive, potentially. The Slingers are a huge bonus as well. They'll win the Archer War against my 3 foot archers, but his cav has can make some attempts on my infantry that might be good for him, because if he kills my infantry, it's basically GG. Like, my cav isn't strong enough to kill his infantry and cav, and my archer force is quite small. So, I'm really relying on the 3 epidemics to do a lot of work here, but they're epidemics, so they absolutely can. So, yeah, he's just going to shoot my frontline spears here early, and he's going to play the kite, which does make sense. He does have the slinger advantage. I can't really make an archer war, because it's just going to go bad for me. I'll just waste. These guys are more expensive, so it would be a bit of a waste, so I'm just going to run at him. Really nice to bring disciples here compared to armored showtells, because I think the disciples, they say they're very light, but I think they're actually medium or maybe heavy, but the armored showtells are very heavy, and they just are too slow. They're just too slow, and it makes it really hard to stay with the rest of your army. Because you can see, again, he's going to turn around and shoot, but you can see at least my low tier units are keeping up, so he can maybe get one more volley here, but now my archers are already going to be able to shoot at his cav. And now if he tries to run away again, it's going to be kind of hard. So he actually just got to run forward. Let's see, this volley is actually going to miss, because he just, like, basically dodges it. Maybe intentional, I'm not sure. I mean, he was obviously moving his whole army forward, but maybe he did it on intentional timing. So he's just going to rush now and try to use the fact that I'm a little bit far back here. So we'll see how the initial fights go. I'm trying to get some peel off. Doing that to some degree. Didn't get peel here, but got some here, here, here. So not terrible. But okay, I had to take some losses on my shitty Kushite slaves in order to get my other infantry in for free. I also get some nice javelins here. So he's taking a decent number of losses on his heavy horse, but nothing significant. My cav is going to be pretty much untouched, except for this unit I guess got shot. But here come the disciples getting in here. I'm pulling back my Kushite slaves, because they're just going to lose the Celtic, so I don't really want to sacrifice them. And he is going to get pretty aggressive on the flank. I'm dumping some Celtic warriors here. My goal should be to shoot Cav, though. If I can kill the Cav, you're going to get a free charge. That's really nice into the Celtic. Not going to get peeled. I guess I'll take some peel from the Chosen Spears, but not too bad. You can see the Disciples just insta-kill the Chosen Spears. They're gone. Another Disciple getting in here. There's an Oathsworn here, and the Oathsworn need to be kind of a target for me. I need to kill them with my Disciples, and kill them efficiently. If he trades 1 for 1, it's not really great for me. I kind of want to kill the Oathsworn. That's why I have 2 Disciples here to do that. Whereas on this side, this Oathsworn's not really as engaged. It's kind of far back, so I can kind of avoid it for as long as possible, and then just use a Disciple on it. Maybe, with a free charge, the Oathsworn will win, but with Headhunt and Frenzy and stuff, the Disciples will at least do a lot of damage. So you can see here, yeah, killing some Cav early. My Cav's still pretty healthy, which is good. But again, he used his initial charges to kill a lot of my low tiers. You can see almost all my low tiers are dead at this point. You can just see I have my Disciple, 1 Kushite Slave, Disciple. I mean, that's pretty much it, right? My 3 Disciples and my Shotel. But now he has to actually do something with his Levy Freeman. And his Levy Freeman have actually mostly died. Because the Disciples can just kill so fast, I was able to actually kill the... Yeah, I was actually able to kill a lot of the Levy Freeman that chased after his Cav engaged. I was able to get back in with my Disciples and my Showtells and stuff and kill those Levy Freeman. So now he doesn't actually have that much of a low tier advantage, and I didn't have to use my Cav to kill his spears and get peeled and stuff. So I actually have 2 very healthy elite Cav, a pretty healthy unit here, another full health unit here, and all my archers and javelin and stuff, of course. So now he has to decide if he should go for my archers or defend his, because he can't really do both, because with these 3 Cav, I can always go and kill his archers unless his Cav will defend them. And now you can see my Disciples are just breaking through. Here we're killing this Oathsworn. He actually is getting pretty good kills on this Disciple, but now I have a full other Disciple to come back here, and I'm also getting a lot of free recharges. It's going to take some peel, but it's not a big deal. This Chosen Spear is just out of commission. It came around the flank, but it's just useless here. Like, it's just going to do nothing. I can just bring my Disciple back and insta-kill it. It's just chasing archers that don't need to be shooting anything else, right? He is getting some nice counterplay on this flank, where he's able to get into my Disciple with his Cav, but I just pop Frenzy and try to kill as many of them as I can, right? My Showtail's going to go in on this Oathsworn, and this Oathsworn is taking a lot of damage. It's still alive, but it's still taking a lot of damage. My Javelin can just chase the heavy horse out of here. His slingers now are activating, but it is a little late, right? What he kind of wants to do is push my archers back and then get free shots on my disciples with his slingers, because obviously the disciples can't really stand up to slinger fire for very long with their 25 armor. But in this case, his slingers were pushed back for far enough, and my disciples kill fast enough, crucially, that now my archers have taken care of the threats, or are free of the threats that are going behind. So now my archers can start shooting as well. I'm going to sacrifice this one cav to kill this Oathsworn with my disciple. This disciple's 40 men. This disciple's 70 men. This disciple's actually still alive, even though it got killed by charged by cav. And I still have a couple of very healthy cav. 3 healthy cav, 2 really small cav, but they can still just kill slingers. And he only has 2 cav, and of course I have a 2 elite cav, and he only has 1, so this is a huge cav advantage for me. And at this point, I don't really care about the Oathsworn. They can die later to my cav or my archers, because they're so low. I just want to get my disciple into a cav fight, like close to a cav fight, so if there is a cav fight, 1, my archers can dump into the cav fight and just kill the cav, or 2, my disciple can get into that fight, right? So he's going to go and clean up my right flank, which is probably smart, but he still has pretty much no way to defend against my cav. And you can see every fight, like my cav is always in archer range, so I can just turn my archers and just shoot this one. I actually target this one because I thought he would suicide for my archers, so I just want to kill it. And you can see I'm just juking his cav. My elite cav can get into his heavy horse and just destroy them. Heavy horse aren't really a great anti-cav unit. I mean, they're fine, but they're nothing special because they only have the 10 bonus versus large. And they're mostly, you know, like an infantry killing type of melee cav. Whereas like a Cappadocian, for example, is better against cav. But my general can easily clean up heavy horse. My disciples are in the fight, also giving that scare effect to everything nearby. And these archers, again, are always in range. So anything that I need to prioritize, you can see this cav gets in range for a brief second. My archer can just turn and shoot and just absolutely rail the cav. He's trying to dump my gen, but these are only like shitty slingers. My gen can take this fight for a while. My elite cav, my Kushite rearguard, destroying his general. And of course my archers can always shoot into this fight, but I feel like it's not even necessary here because his general's so low. And yeah, he has 1 Oathsword surviving, but it's no match for my remaining units. And we'll just chase down the slingers and then kill this later. I also have my other disciple still alive. 268 kills and 3 chevrons. Yep, just a normal K for the disciples. 2 chevrons, 180 kills on this unit. And the other one probably dead at this point. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, 171 and 1 chevron. So, yeah, not the most chevrons, but I mean, 6 chevrons on your 3 units is pretty good. Plus, they were only killing elite infantry, like Chosen Swords and Oathsworn. And some Levy Freeman and stuff, of course, but those died so fast it barely made it done. But yeah, so game 1. Pretty straightforward victory, I would say. I mean, I would say the biggest factor in this game was the fact that he went for the YOLO charge with his cav, which again, I'm not saying that was bad or anything. Like, it was kind of just like expected for both sides. He took some losses on his cav from my Pila, but he kind of one-shot a lot of my Kushite slaves for him and got them out of the way. But the key factor was, if he could survive with all of his low tiers after killing my low tiers, I would have a very hard time to play the game, because then he just brings his Levy Freeman around the flank or through a gap, and his cav can follow up there, and then my cav can't really take the 1v1, because he would have spear support and I wouldn't, because again, remember, all my low tiers were dead and all my disciples were busy and my Shotel were busy killing infantry. So then you could just take the cav plus Levy Freeman against my cav fight, and it'd probably be in his favor. I'd still have the archers to play with, but again, he'd also have the slingers. So yeah, him losing the Levy Freeman early on was not good, and also the Chosen Spears. Remember, one of the Chosen Spears got one shot by a disciple. Like, there's no reason really for the Chosen Spear to fight a disciple. Like, that's just a bad fight, pretty objectively to take. And losing these extra units allowed my disciples to basically because they kill them so fast, right, that you just kill them, and they basically didn't matter. And like charged into the Oathsworn, and they're disciples, so they still cook the Oathsworn anyway. And his Celtics didn't get great value. Again, like probably tossing into some fights that they didn't need to get into. Really, his goal needs to be to avoid the disciples or tie them down with Oathsworn and stuff, and then just kill everything else, and then go behind with his cav and just crunch my archers and my rear line, and then kill the disciples in the late game with the slingers, right? He by losing all these low tiers and the spears and stuff, and his slingers not being able to get into the fight early on, it just means that my disciples get into a good fight, and I was able to deal with all the behind threats, i.e. his low tiers, his chosen spears, stuff like that, some of his cav. And because his cav took the YOLO charges early and mine really didn't, I got the counter charges, I got some good engagements, and my elite cav was able to clean up depleted heavy horse very quickly. So yeah, a pretty straightforward game. So Now let's go into, oh man, I have to go back and find this. Into game 2. Yeah, again, same matchup, obviously, but actually quite a different army. Quite a different army from Seminaked. So obviously he lost that first game, and for whatever reason, I mean, I guess maybe he didn't feel like it was something that he could just adapt his like in-game strategy to beat my army or my theory. So he actually goes for a very different army here, and he kind of plays to the weaknesses of Kush. So now he has 3 noble horse and 1, 2, 3, 4 heavy horse. So 7 cav as Arverni, which is rare, but not necessarily bad, because he still has good infantry. He has 3 chosen swords, he has 3 Celtic warriors, so he doesn't have Oathsworn, but the Oathsworn are kind of a heavy investment against archers and academics. It's like maybe you'd rather play for the cav advantage and the slinger advantage, because that allows him to shoot down my academics with the slingers, and with so much cav, he's gonna be able to kill my archers probably. He's gonna be able to just kill my low tiers with his low tiers or with his cav, and then simply just kite me to death, basically. So I have to rush here, there's no doubt about that. I mean, the archer fight, again, is not really great for me, 3v4. And he's also just spread out more, because he has more cav, which means he can get better angles to shoot my archers from the side, which will just do more damage, kind of how it works. And also make it harder for me to counter shoot his archers, his slingers. So, I mean, I saw this army, I was like, okay, it's not really great, but I do have still like 5 cav, so 2 of them are elite, and I still have a lot of spears with good javelins, and my infantry is still very good, and his infantry is really bad. So if I can kill his infantry, and still keep my cav alive, then I can just go for the cav plus infantry, run up, try to kill his cav, and then again, yeah, he has slingers, but if I can get into some of his slingers and some of his cav, then my archers actually stand a chance to win the archer war and to shoot down his remaining cav with whatever of my elite cav and infantry remains after killing his infantry. So I have to take the rush here. Of course, he's just gonna kite. I start moving on this flank, and then I'm realizing, well, I should probably rush this way, because that way these units on the flank only sword side me. If I go, or don't sword side me, they shoot into my shielded side, right? If I rush this way, then these guys are going to get shots into the unshielded side, which will do a lot more damage. So, reasonably, I must rush to the right, and so that's what I'm going to do. But the problem is I'm not really that fast. Like, my army is just not that fast. He can pretty easily kite. I'm getting some nice back shots with my archers every time he turns his back, but most of them are missing. Again, my archers aren't any faster than his slinger, so I can't really gain the ground. I'm right at the edge of range, so every time I stop and shoot, he gets out of range, and so by the time the arrows fly where his unit was, the unit is far away now, and the archers miss. So yeah, a lot of cav is hard to deal with for Kush. Kush, their biggest weakness in the combination, for example, is definitely the eastern factions, Parthia, Armenia, Pontus, Bactria, that kind of thing. But it's not unwinnable, I would say. But yeah, so here I'm second winning and battle rhythming this epidemic, because second win, or maybe it's just battle rhythm? I don't know. I think I second winded them though. Second win just to keep them fresh. Battle rhythm actually gives you a slight speed increase, so just to keep up with the rest of my army. Here I'm gonna shoot this chosen sword in the back, which is pretty good. They're slower, so they can't avoid the arrows as much. I actually just destroy that unit because of back shots. But he's also getting aggressive on my flank, and again, I just don't have that much cav, and I'm already like matched up cav for cav here. But then, like, these units are just weak to a cav fight, so I have to run away here, and now I have to expose my back. It's only light infantry, doesn't really matter. Here I decide to try to pin him down, because again, I kind of want to take a fight, right? I want to take a fight somewhere. But these guys don't get a charge. They weren't in the charging animation, which is not good. And here I'm forced to turn, and this is what I really don't want. Now he's getting really good engagements. Here I'm going to actually get... Well, they don't get a charge there either, which is kind of ridiculous. There's something about charging in Rome 2 when you're charging units that are running backwards. I'm just telling you that right now. I'm going to have to look into it myself, but there is something about it where the charges are not that good. And there might be something people can exploit there. But now he's got me in a pickle here, because he's engaged me. I was trying to fight him over here, but he actually just attacked my flank, and I kind of had to accept the engagement. Like, he's just faster than I am, because he has so much cav, and now I can't, either I just let these units die, which doesn't really make any sense, or I take the fight here and try to hold it, and maybe I can win because I have epidemics, right? But the problem is, okay, these fights are just terrible because I didn't get a charge, but also, like, look how far back my infantry is. They're nowhere near his infantry, so it's really hard for me to tie down his units for long enough for these better infantry units to get into the fight. And that's a huge problem because now he can simply just kill my spears and my cav that were trying to tie him down. If I don't tie him down, then he'll just keep running and keep shooting me in the side. So it's kind of a lose-lose. So I think my goal now should probably be to just rotate everything into this side and just try to win over here and maybe abandon like these two spears. And of course, not getting a charge on either of these units is just devastating. But now it's just getting charges into my units. Okay, I'm getting good fire into these heavy horse, but it just has a lot of cav. I can't, like, every cav that I trade with him is just terrible for me, because he just has so much more of it. And my armor desert cav just can't survive. His heavy horse have much more armor and health, 60 armor and 90 health. These guys have 45 armor, 75 health. So there's just no way that these guys are going to survive longer than his heavy horse, and he has more heavy horse, right? So, reasonably speaking, it's going to be very hard long term to keep my cav alive, and if my cav goes down, the kite is just on, right? Like his infantry, yeah, some of them might die, and my archers are doing a good job trying to support in the cav fight and kill more of his cav, but in the end, like, it's just too much of my stuff is going to die. My cheap units are going to die. My academics will win, but there's only 3 of them in the one shotel against you know 6 of his infantry plus the light freeman, and my low tiers are just going to die, which means he's going to get infantry and cav into my archers, and there's not much I can do about it. You can see my heavy horse or my armored district cav already really depleted. My general gonna go down in this fight, and my bowmen are just trying to shoot what they can. They're doing good damage, absolutely. But not enough damage, really, long term to keep them alive. You can see these small cav units, like, a small unit, 40 men. There's no cav for me to counter it with. I mean, I could use the small unit, but then he has this unit. This unit's trying to save my general from exploding, but again, he has Levy Freeman in these fights, and the Levy Freeman are going to do a lot of damage to my cav. And plus he has the Noble Horse, which again are not as good as my cav, but they're still very good. And here, yeah, okay, it gets this Noble Horse into my archers. Again, my infantry is actually doing well, but there's just, like, again, like, this unit is so isolated. Like, yeah, it's an epidemic, and it's gonna kill this Chosen Sword, but it's so isolated, it has no support. My support is all dead, essentially, and it's just gonna get rear charge shot in the back, or even if it wins, it's just in the middle of nowhere. He can just ignore it, right? Just ignore it, and let it kill the infantry and kill it later. But he's gonna collapse on my vulnerable units, which are my archers and my low tiers and my armored desert cav, and just kill them. No worries. And then again, he's gonna have his slingers and stuff to just collapse on my position in the end game. And you can see it's actually, like, I did a decent job to kill his cav, like, not terrible. My archer's got a lot of good shots, but he just has a little too many. His general's still alive and very healthy. There's a couple of heavy horse here that are surviving, and my infantry is taking a beating because he's able to just recharge them. And of course, he still has all 4 slingers, very healthy, with some infantry and some cav, which is more than enough to clean up what's left of my units here. Not by much, but by enough, you know. And the slingers obviously are a great endgame unit. So yeah, I think maybe with, like, better charges on the right side here, things were possible, for sure. But then him attacking me in my flank on the left side, I was just very spread out, and you don't want to be spread out against you know, an army that has more cav than you do. You want to stay compact. But I was having trouble doing that because if I rush one way, he attacks me in the flank. He can surround. He just has more cav. So yeah, definitely a good army from Mr. Seminaked here, and it caught me off guard a little bit. I knew it was a possibility. I mean, in other series, he had taken, I want to say, similar armies, but it definitely wasn't on my radar after the first game. I definitely expected more stuff similar to his first army. But of course, like, by winning the first game, it gives me the chance to, I mean, he gets the chance to react in game 2 and change it up. But now I've seen this army, it did win him a game, which is important. But now I have the chance to adapt, right? And if I don't adapt well, then he might just be able to run me over if this army is just, like, unbeatable or whatever. But I at least have the chance to adapt now, and if it was, you know, a best of 3, okay, then we'd be going to the final game with each an idea of what the other person could bring. But it's actually a best of 5, right? So you have even more time in theory to think about this. You can see, yeah, my infantry won, but it's just I don't have the archers because the archers all got hunted down by the calves, so now I just have to chase after slingers. That's just not gonna work. His general did die, and the disciples do have fear, so I was thinking maybe I can just route these guys. Like, if I get into contact with this slinger, it probably will route. And here I'm trying to just hunt down the chosen swords, but everything is just tired here. The slingers are fresh. There's no real way to do this, and now army losses will just cut in, and the logical conclusion is met. So 1-1, which is good because see, my cat just gets no value because he just has so much support. My support all died in the first like 2 seconds of the battle, which again is probably bad for me, right? I shouldn't let him kill my spears for free. I think that's probably the thing. But what can I do? Either I can charge in my Armored Desert Cav against his Cav, which they'll just lose, or I can like I don't know, put my disciples in the front line. It's not really much better. Or I can let the spears die and get a peel of volley, which is what happened. But none of those outcomes are really good. Of course, if I was more condensed, maybe it would help a bit. But we already talked about the problems with that. So yeah, pretty clean game from him. Cav getting a lot of value. Even his chosen swords getting value because they're killing my disciples after they get recharged and stuff. Shot by the slingers, so they're getting some good kills there. But yeah, my javelin men actually got decent value. They start with 1 chevron, I think, in this build, so they got a whole chevron, which is pretty decent value. Probably just shooting cav. And his cav didn't get great value, some of them, but again, it's just like the numbers. Only a couple of his cav have to get insane kills to kill all my archers and just win the game, right? Even if the rest of his cav all die, as long as they kill my cav, it's pretty much over. So nice army and nice game from Seminaked there. So 1 apiece, and we go into game 3. And this was a tricky game, right? Like I said, I have to adapt to that army. But I did it in an interesting way, so let's see it now. So, yeah, I saw his army in the last game, and I said, okay, I need to adapt to it, but I actually had a very simple fix, and it was kind of, I mean, maybe not fortunate, but it was a good idea for me, because basically I said, I actually think my army is quite good, I just need to change a small thing, and that one change, it's literally 1 unit, is to replace that tribesman with a slinger. Because now it's literally just 4 slingers against 3 archers and a slinger. My archers are actually quite good, right? My archers will win the 1v1 against the slingers. They might not kill them entirely, but they'll waste a lot of ammo and kill a lot of men before my archers actually run out of ammo themselves. My slave slinger is like slightly worse than his slinger, but doesn't really matter. Like 10 armor to 25 armor. Of course, it like all matters, and his slinger will win long term, but not without using again most of its ammo. So my goal is basically, well, I know my infantry is good. But the problem last game was I had to rush, and by rushing, I sort of got isolated. My infantry couldn't fight together. My cav got isolated. My archers just died for free. So instead, I'm gonna say, well, let's just park the bus. Basically, we don't have to rush if my archer force is equal to his archer force, right? Because I can just trade missile fire for as long as possible until his missiles are basically dead, and then I don't have to rush him anymore, right? I can just like walk at him, and he can try to surround me, sure, but I'm not gonna get shot in the back because he's gonna have pretty much no ammo. So then I can just stay very condensed, and all is good. But you know that's all well and good. My plan may or may not work. But he actually took a very different army. I think he thought that my reaction was gonna be kind of like total opposite. Like, oh my god, I lost the game so badly, I'm gonna change everything and go for like a cav heavy build to match his cav heavy build. Because look at his army now. My army again is the same. It's 5 Kushite slave spears, 3 archers, the 1 slinger now, the 2 slave infantry, the 1 shotel, and the 3 epidemics. And then the 2 armor Kushite Royal Guard and the 3 armor Desert Cav. So yeah, again, same army. But he's actually gone for an army that's quite similar to his game 1 army, with some slight differences. So now he has the same thing. So 4 heavy horse and 1 noble horse only. So the 5 Cav, where I have the 2 elite Cav to his 1 now. He still has the 4 slingers. He still has the 3 Celtic warriors. But now what he's done is he's actually gone for noble spears, or spear nobles. So he's gone for 3 chosen swords. Again, no oath sword, and 2 spear nobles with the also a spear warrior and some levy freeman, 1, 2 levy freeman, something like that. With the idea being now he's basically going for essentially what you could call like a mid-tier spam, in the sense that he doesn't have any Oathsworn, but he's using, so he still has 6 melee units that are all pretty good. Celtics are great low-tier killers and can even do damage against mid-tiers. Chosen Swords are a good mid-tier, but he also has these 2 elite spears, which can kill a lot of mid-tier infantry as well. So he's basically playing for the infantry advantage this game. He still has a good cav force, he still has the 4 slingers. He has less low tiers now, but that's not really a bad thing, honestly. So he's going to count, obviously, a lot on these spear nobles getting a lot of kills. But in theory, they should be fighting pretty weak units. Like, yeah, something's gonna have to fight my epidemics, sure, but the rest of his units can still cook against my everything else, and then he can just kill the epidemics late game with whatever he has left and his slingers. Is sort of his plan. So, sure, that could work. But again, he needs to kind of somehow deal with the epidemics, which what he wasn't able to do in game 1, and now he's fighting with a very similar army. But again, I kind of think, based on the fact that he has the Spear Warrior and the 2 Spear Nobles, that he was actually predicting that I would go for a cav-heavy army, and then he would just go for an infantry spam with elite spears, and my cav would just run to a spear wall and explode. I'm gonna turn Discord off real quick. Okay. Um, but that's not the case. Right now, I still have 3 disciples. I haven't gone overboard on cav. I have a lot of cav, but I haven't gone overboard. So now I think, the situation is actually pretty good for me. So now I'm rushing. Again, I'm not worried about his cav this game. Like, the cav isn't a big problem, so I can just rush and just take the infantry fight. He's not trying to even spread out or anything. It's going to be pretty much a head-to-head. Whoa. It's pretty much going to be a head-to-head infantry fight. So I'm not really in a bad position to just push forward here. And I decided, okay, actually, because he has all this infantry, and he's not kiting, I could shoot his slingers and just take the missile war, but he's not even giving it to me. But now I can actually just take the infantry fight, and my archers are going to do more damage than his slingers. And I'm not convinced that he can actually kill my cav, because he still has to get through my disciples. And game 1 went so well for me where my cav actually survived. So I'm dumping his slingers early, but now he's going to rush. So now I expect it. The previous game 1, he kind of surprised me with this rush, but you can see I get really close with the rest of my army. So now he won't get a free charge here at all. But he decides, okay, I don't actually want to take the fight now that you're so close, you're grouped up. It's probably not good to do that. I actually hit his Celtic warriors here with the back shots, so that was nice. Hitting his slingers with some back shots as well. And so he probably realizes now, like, he can kite, but he's just gonna eat shots in the back, like, every time he tries to run away, and the red line is approaching, so he's just gonna have to take the fight eventually. But this time my army is gonna be way more close together. My spears were kind of left out to dry in game 1. I mean, it ended up being fine because they got a peel volley and his spears died. But remember, if his spears had lived, his Levy Freeman didn't engage and died to my disciples and stuff, the game would have actually been quite close. So okay, let's see the charges here. Sort of the critical point of any game like this is just the charges. Gonna get nice shots into his heavy horse early on. Trying to maximize how much damage I can do. They're kind of sword side as well, which is nice. Here, not so much, but still. And here I'm gonna block. I'm gonna use some of my cav to block his cav, because I don't want all my spears to die. And I figure since the cav fight's actually pretty close, I can actually afford to do this. I'm actually gonna catch him here. He gets the charge the last second, which is very lucky, I would say. They actually charge. Here we engage. Here again, like my Kush Rearguard can charge into his heavy horse and just destroy them. And here I get a peel volley as well, so this heavy horse is just dead. This one's gonna get some kills on my slaves, but also get countercharge. Here he's gonna get in with his general, but again, I'm happy to just peel him here. Would have been nice to get 2 peel volleys, but I guess I only got 1. But my archers are also shooting into this blob, so that's pretty decent value. And so okay, we get through the archer phase. Let's see the next stuff. So now it's all about the disciples and how hard they can get into everything. And again, I'm going for the flank with this disciple. We're going to get into these 2 units, and again, just insta-kill a chosen sword or a spear warrior, and then keep on trucking forward. So the disciples, yeah, let's see how many kills they get in the charge. Oh, nice, 20 kills in the charge. Easy against a 700 cost unit. 30 kills in the charge. 35. Yeah, this chosen sword is almost dead. Here my disciple's going to get in. Again, he's blobbing a lot with his low tiers, which he doesn't need to do, meaning that my disciple is now going to cook a Celtic warrior and a chosen sword for free. This Shotel is going to get into a fight with a Celtic and a Spear Noble, which again, the Spear Noble probably can maybe beat the Shotel long term, but it's going to be close. And again, here disciple just cooking his chosen sword. So again, this time I actually have more low tiers here with using that 80 range actually to shoot over the Levy Freeman and get into the heavy horse. I have more low tiers alive this game, because I use my cav a little more aggressively. My cav is a little more depleted though, but I figure that's actually a good trade for me here, because my elite cav is still very healthy, and his cav also is very weak as well, like 24 men, 26 men. 1 heavy horse probably pretty healthy. This one died or something, I don't know. And then his general at 52. So 24, 26, 51, 52. I have 52, 40, okay, very small, 20, 60, and my other unit at 53. So my cav is actually healthier than his cav. And I actually maintain a lot of low tiers. You can see I have like these tiny spears, but they're still there. And here I bust through his right flank immediately. And his Spear Nobles, while good, are going to take a long time to cook anything. My Shotels are still fighting, and now my disciple, having killed a sword, a chosen sword, can now get in and just kill these Spear Nobles. My cav is actually just winning here, so I'm chasing his cav around. Here I see that he might turn and fight me with his Celtic, so I don't actually want to take this fight, so I'm just going to run away. with my cav. Because again, long term, I'm gonna get to him eventually with my 3 cav that I have remaining here. He only has, okay, actually has another cav I didn't see here, so 40. So right now he has a 50 unit, a 40 unit, his general at 40, and these 2 small ones. I have a 40, 34 elite though. My general at 59, a small one here, and then this 52 man. So I have a couple of extra cav, like 1 extra cav basically, and it's an elite cav to his non-elite. Plus I have these low tiers, and right now I'm just suiciding the low tiers because I need time for my disciples to finish off his infantry. Because I feel like if I can kill his infantry, my slingers and my archers are actually still alive, so they can just go and trade missile fire with him, and then my infantry and my cav will still be alive. I don't even need to chase his archers to the end of the map if I can just kill them. Also has these spear warriors, again, like behind, and again, he just blobbed a lot for no reason. My disciples were able to get like really good fights where they killed like 2 units in the same fight, so he never was able to outflank me and surround me with his extra units, basically. Instead he just got caught up in a bad fight. Here my general decides like, oh, I'll just take this fight with a heavy horse, no problem. And again, he can't really stop everything. Here he's still chasing me to the end of the map, but again, that's not really good for him because he doesn't have enough cav. Like, I have an extra cav in this fight right now. I mean, technically he has the same number, but one's like, literally like 20 men or 22 men. Like, it's not going to do anything. So, okay, he's chasing me to the end of the map. Here he's killing it. I actually might manage to micro it. But long term, with my archers here as well, which will do damage faster than his slingers, and my 2 elite cav to his 1, there's no way he can hold this position long term, because you can see he has to try to engage my cav, otherwise I'll get to his slingers. But if he tries to engage my cav, he's just going to meet my archer fire, and now this cav is just free to go here and kill his slingers. My infantry is winning the fight. He is going to kill my Kushite rear guard here with his spear nobles. It's 70 men. It got out of the fight over here, I guess, with the epidemic. Just ran away. But again, his heavy horse are still engaged here, so they're still going to die. His noble horse is also weak. My archers are just pouring fire into this fight. And again, my cav, not even worried about killing the slingers anymore, because I figure, actually, my archers and slingers are still alive. This cav is actually going to get here first to his slingers, so I can just kill his infantry. Maybe he'll kill my cav in time, but probably not. And my archers and slingers are still alive to just chase his slingers in the end game anyway, with whatever cav remains. And yeah, I mean, this is just a clearly winning end game. There's nothing he can really do. So I just finish off his infantry, and now my cav can even still get to his slingers. Probably was more optimal to just go kill the slingers, to be honest, but it doesn't really matter. You can see my archer is still doing a lot of damage to his cav, and there's not much for him to do here. Again, these infantry just... Yeah, I mean, when you're facing Kush, you just have to run away from the disciples. Like, you need to fight them with nothing, make them as useless as possible for as long as possible, and then you stand a chance because you can kill everything else. But he's just giving the disciples 300 kills and 2 chevrons each, and it's just not working because so much of his infantry force is just instantly dead. Like, you can't underestimate how quickly the disciples will just tear through units. It's unbelievably fast. And again, just 116 and a chevron, 260 and 2 chevrons, 178 and a chevron. Just they're not gonna get a lot of chevrons because there's just no value. Like these units aren't as expensive as Oathsworn. But the one that killed the Spear Noble, I guess, got like 2 chevrons probably. But they're just getting 178, 260, 116 kills just like off the bat. At the very start of the battle, he's just surrendering his most elite units, like the Chosen Swords, the Spear Nobles, just dying immediately in the start of the battle. Sometimes the Celtic Warrior would die as well, just being in a blob, and that's just too much value for the Disciples. If Disciples get this kind of value, you're just never going to win, because they're going to break your infantry, and now I had more infantry, and my Cav Force was slightly better, and my archers were alive to shoot his Cav, so it's just a completely winning formula. So now I figured it's, he's on the brink of elimination. It's 2-1 for me. Surely he has to go back to his game 2 army. And obviously I'm correct here in this assumption. But it was now up to me to prove that my army was sufficient to deal with this kind of threat. Remember, I just changed that 1 javelin for the slinger. That was the only change I made. Would that be enough to stop the 7 cav, 6 melee, 3 levy Freeman build? So yeah, we're here on Seminaked POV this game. We'll switch it around just to be consistent. But yeah, now you can see same army exactly. My army is the same as last game. And again, my plan is not to... sorry, I'm gonna get a drink of water real quick. Ah, nice water. My game plan is not at all to rush anymore. It's just to sit there and take the archer fight, deplete his slingers as much as possible, and then you can go into a cav fight. Now there are risks involved with this. Number 1 risk being, if I don't have archers, because I've used all my ammo and then, you know, traded out with the slingers, then his cav is going to be stronger, because my archers actually were getting a lot of kills on his cav. So that's definitely true, but it's only 2 cav advantage for him and only 1 elite cav advantage. Plus, his cav costs a lot, so he's putting a lot of cost into that, and they're not really going to be that effective at killing, like, spears and cav. And I still have the disciples, and the, you know, the slingers were a good counter to the disciples, which aren't going to be around anymore if we trade out. So, you know, it's definitely, I definitely wasn't sure that this would work, but I was willing to try it at least. Formation-wise, you can see I put some Kushite slaves here and kind of further back, because I want to keep them alive to Pila his cav, if possible, and just keep them in reserve to help in cav fights, which we kind of like know are coming, right? The other question is, do I let him charge my spears or not? Which is a pretty interesting question. I don't think there's a great answer there. Like, in some places, I'm going to have to let him charge, I suppose. Here, I'm shooting 2 for 1 on this slinger. I'm just going to try to kill it. Here, he actually turns his back, so I get 8 kills immediately, which is nice. My one slinger, I feel like, is pretty fine. Just trade ammo with his slinger. But here, he tried to flank me, and again, he's going to be able to surround. He has more cav. So he's going to be able to get this unit on the flank. So my goal is to never allow this flank unit to get shots on my archers from the side. So I should rotate and try to engage from one side. I want to shoot one side of his army and just run away from the other ones so that I can mitigate this outflanking positioning. If I can only fight over here, he's not outflanking me here, right? I don't want to fight where he's outflanking me, or I just reposition like this, and now he's not outflanking me anymore, right? Like, he could, you know, it's more of a straight line. I'm going to go back to shooting him with my slinger here. Again, we're happy to trade ammo. I had to, like, rotate, though, which means he gets the first shots, which is not ideal, but it's not the end of the world, really. The reason why I didn't fire when I was like this is because these guys wouldn't shoot, which means you're just not really getting value on your whole unit. So we're dumping each other. Here again, you can see I'm just going to keep fighting over here and avoid over here. And my archers are very mobile, so they can just walk up and shoot some shots here, while these slingers are not shooting at all. So I can try to get a little bit of an archer advantage that way. See, I'm kind of doubling up. He's trying to shoot me in the side here, but it is the shielded side. It will be doing a lot of damage long term, which is kind of annoying. So here I run my slinger forward just to give myself a little more space for my archer to shoot. And then if this slinger tries to walk forward, now 2 of my archers can shoot this slinger. And if he tries to turn to fight here, he's going to get sword-sided for my archers. So now he's dumping my archer. It's also nice that these guys have 50 health, which means they can survive a little bit more. Here he pushes up a cav. I should have been probably a little more ready for this, to be honest. I go to shoot the cav, I think, now. But you can see my archers are taking heavy damage, no doubt. Nice volley, though, into the back of his cav there. His slinger is 80 men here, this slinger 80. His archer 74, slinger 82, so all good so far, I'd say. But again, here he's getting 2 shots, like side shots on me here. And I can't really do anything about that. If I turn to face him here, then this unit will get side shots, right? So that's why I have to just run away on the flank. As much as I might not want to be doing that long term. But you can see we're actually trading out pretty well here. Maybe I'm running away a little too much because I'm just letting him shoot me in the side or in the back, which isn't great. So yeah, maybe I should be a little more proactive. Like now I can turn and fight him, right? Because he's not actually going to get flanking shots on me anymore. His unit's actually turned sideways, which means he's going to do worse than my unit will. Because I can get essentially sword side shots on this side of the unit. Maybe not because they're kind of facing me. I don't really know how that works, but here I battle rhythm this archer so it runs away a little bit faster and also just gets a morale buff, I think. Yeah, it does. Trying to keep those archers alive. Actually, a pretty significant morale buff. 5 morale. That's money, to be honest. But yeah, you can see this slinger is pretty much dead. This archer is like archer dodging a little bit. Dodging his slingers a little bit. Here, though, it's 2 for 1 because this archer ran away a little too far. So I have to be a little careful, but I do get the first route, and I should probably run away here, but again, if I run away, I'm just not shooting. It's just like, now these guys are dying without shooting. It's not great, but unfortunately, I didn't manage to route this unit entirely. I'm just gonna come back. But again, it's down to 34 men, so it's pretty useless, right? Like, it has probably a decent amount of ammo, but it's pretty useless. And now it's actually 3v4 over here. I'm just gonna mega target this unit with everything. So it's 1, 2, 3 units versus 1 here, so I'm just gonna actually eviscerate the slinger. So he is getting the advantage over here. Now he's double focusing this Nubian bowman, but this slinger is gonna go down super fast. Of course, this unit came back, so It's debatable who has the edge here, but again, I'm happy to trade off my ammo. Even though my archers and slingers cost more than his do. Like, these guys cost 360, they almost cost a full 100 more than his slingers, so, well, it's 280 to 360, so 80, 240, 160, 240. My three archers cost 240 more than his three slingers, and then I do save 70 on my slinger versus his slinger. So overall, it's 170 more coins than I'm paying for my missiles. But it's just his giving him such a big tactical advantage in this matchup that I have to take this this L, I guess, like this monetary L, in order to just even this out and avoid him being able to kite me late game. Here's shooting my cav a little bit, which is annoying. I'm dumping this slinger, so I pretty much dumped two slingers into Oblivion, 34 and 35 remaining. This slinger is fast depleting as well. I have archers at 43, 39, 82 on the slinger, and I guess this archer is at 33, so pretty even. The numbers, I would say, are fairly even. But, yeah, I mean, not much to say except that things are going kind of according to plan. But now he's just surrounding me more. He kind of, I think, is accepting that he's going to have to take an infantry fight. He's trying to get some shots on my cav with his slingers. Because, like, why not, I guess? He knows that I don't really have much ammo left, although my slinger probably does. So he's just going to get some free chip shots, chip damage on my dudes. These guys are throwing some Pila. I realized I don't really want to throw Pila here. Like, I need the Pila for his cav. And so here we go. I also just peeled the shit out of his archer, or his slinger, which is not good. So he's just going to come from every direction. So my choice is, right, where do I countercharge and where do I just give it up? Here I decide to countercharge because it's heavy horse versus armored desert cav. I don't want to countercharge the noble horse. It's just like too much. That can do too much damage to my armored desert cav instantly. Over here I again charge this heavy horse. And I'm getting my infantry in really quickly. I'm getting good Pila, so this is all good. But again, he's just going to win these engagements. His cav is strictly better. But I'm going to start getting my... Well, this is Kushite slave infantry is not good. I need to get my disciples into play immediately. And they are getting into play here. They're going to kill off this unit, and then maybe bounce back into here, which is good. And this cav is taking some losses as well. 47 to my 54, again, because I'm getting the Pila advantage. Here I go for an aggro play. It is into his noble horse, but I feel like I can get a charge into his chosen sword. I actually bring my general here as well, which is a terrible move. It's just really bad. I should have actually just charged with my general, probably. Or just the armored desert cav, but definitely not both. Here, again, Kushite slave is going to do well against Levy Freeman, no worries. Disciples are here to clean up. This cav is like, huh, I don't have anything to do. There's no cav here. Gonna bring my Shotel into this fight to cook his Celtic, which is good. Here I'm gonna be in trouble because it's a Kushite slave against the chosen sword. And again, here my disciples are getting drawn a little bit out of position, but they are gonna kill this Celtic, so that's kind of good. And cav-wise, 43. This cav is 38. I mean, it's, you know, 58 there, 60 on these guys. So he hasn't taken too many cav losses. I haven't taken a disastrous amount either. Again, secondary Pila, very nice, just absolutely destroying these units. So far things are okay because I'm going to win the infantry fight. Again, he hasn't gotten any charges into any of my disciples, which is really good. Here I make a crucial mistake though. I think that this is my disciple, but it's actually my Kushite slave, and my disciple goes out here, which is again not terrible for now, but it could be cleaning this up, and I don't really care about the flank. I need to get into his infantry with my disciples. It's fine and dandy for my disciples to kill Celtics and Levy Freeman, but that's something that my other units can do. And here I make another mistake. Maybe it's not a mistake, I'm not sure. But I take a Pila volley to get into these units and just do a lot of damage, which is maybe fine, but again, a little risky. Here I'm cycle charging, which is fine. My disciples need to get in. But again, what if this Shotel stayed in and this disciple got into this blob? That would be much better for me. Instead of the disciple killing this Celtic and the Shotel potentially getting this blob. The Shotels aren't as fast killers, but I am getting good counterplay on the flanks here. I'm going into slow mode just because there's so much going on. I'm killing off his low tiers. My archers are still alive again. My archers can die, I don't really care. He's kind of slow to surround me as well, so I'm getting some good value in the infantry fight. Here he does get into my Shotels a little bit, but I'm going to countercharge here. I get a countercharge with my elite cav, so maybe that's not actually that bad, because I can actually just kill this unit off for free. This chosen sword will break through, but it's sort of inevitable. Gonna Pila his cav here, but it's a terrible Pila volley. Oh, just awful. I'm not sure why they shot. And again, it would have been really nice if my cav could have charged his cav and his Legendary Freedom, and this guy could have stayed out and just got in late. Because now this cav is going to obliterate my Kushite Slave rune. I might kill a lot of his Legendary Freedom, but this Legendary Freedom is healthy, and this Kushite Slave isn't. So, especially because it just got charged. So this fight is a little bad. This guy's surrounding me. But again, nothing here is disastrous. I mean, I've still got very healthy low tiers. Like Kushite Slave here will hold on for a while, give my disciples some time to get into the fight. I'm winning on this flank completely. He has no surrounding action on my left side. So I can really just focus on the right side, where once this disciple gets back into play, once this disciple gets into play, things are good. He still has a lot of healthy cav though. But so do I. My general's full. This cav is pretty full. My armored desert Kushite Royal Guard's fairly healthy. This cab is pretty healthy. This cab is 30 men, but it's going to be all good. You know, he has 3 noble horse pretty full, and then he has 1 heavy horse. But everything else is depleted. So he's down to 4 cav, essentially. And I'm kind of down to, like, 1, 2, 3 cav. And his cav is better and healthier than mine. But it's not, like, a terrible situation. Like, given that it was 7 to 5 at the start, it's now 4 to 3 plus health on his side. You know, and a quality advantage. But again, my infantry is still completely healthy, like 119, 108, 110, 120, 108 on this this guy. So he still has to do a lot of infantry killing, and that's where my cav advantage or his cav advantage will shrink. Once he still has to start grinding against my cav and infantry is better than his cav and infantry in a combined fight. So if I can get it to an end game where it's just my cav and my infantry fighting his cav and his infantry, my infantry just kills so fast that his cav never stands a chance in that end game. He is getting some value though, rear charging, for example, my disciples here are going to get like 30 kills in the charge. Here he's getting a nice engagement. Here he gets me without a charge. But he actually disengages, so not the worst thing. Again, this Kushite Real Guard is good. These archers still getting value on his cav, which is really good. I actually get this cav out of here. My general goes for an aggressive charge here. Just going to tie these guys down as long as they can. Let my Shotels get into the fight. I can always just use this cav to sacrifice to get my general out of there. My general's still really healthy, so he's not under any real threat. This Kushite Real Guard, again, these guys will tank cav fights really well. It's just the fights where they get infantry involved that are really bad. But here I actually have better infantry support, so this is good. But now comes the critical mistake of the game. All is looking pretty decent. I mean, not great, but my disciples are clearing house. I still have some low tiers left in some of these fights, like these guys. I guess that's the only one, maybe this guy. My archers still need to be chased down. I mean, he doesn't really need to kill them, but he kind of feels like he has to. And the cav advantage isn't terrible for me, because I still have a lot of small units that can support my disciples, and together they can, again, just kill all humans, kill all cav. The only problem is he is breaking through on a lot of fronts, which means he's going to start to be able to get rear charges. So my goal now needs to be to consolidate in one area and regroup with my cav. He's busting through the center. I'm not sure exactly where the best place to consolidate would be, but I have a lot of units here, so maybe these guys should group up on this disciple and this Shotel, and we end our fight here. With all of our units supporting this area, my general can wrap around, use the help of this Kushite Slave rune to avoid his cav, and we can just group here. And the more condensed the fights are, the better they are for me, because his cav advantage is more useless. I'm happy to sacrifice these archers. If his cav goes out of their way to chase them, that just means that my infantry has more time to kill his. So that should be the game plan. Here I'm going to support this fight with my Shotel, and my general's just running away, which is totally fine. As I said, here I'm cleaning up some of his low tiers. Again, I'm consolidating in a great area where my disciples and my Shotels are fighting off of each other. My spears are getting into his cav. But I just make it one mistake, and we'll see here. My cav stopped running, and now I start running away. And for now, this is okay, and I should just suicide this cav. I tried to do that, maybe. Like, these guys just need to get in. And he actually even stopped chasing me for a second here. So I have the perfect time to get away, but I make the mistake of just not taking this fight. Like, I can try to run away, but long term, he's just going to catch me. He has more cav, and my cav is now so far away from these infantry units. Like, again, this cav needed to get in here, and my cav needed to get into the support of my other units. But even now, again, these Kushite Real Guard are really healthy. 55 men. Sure, his noble horse is also very healthy, but my guys just win the 1v1. And it basically is a 1v1, where I also have spear support and this other little cav if I need to, like, get my general out or whatever. He could maybe bring more cav to bear against my general, and yes, he would eventually kill it with all his cav, or maybe not even all his cav, but some of his cav, he would 100% eventually, my guy would die. My general would die. But if I just run away, he's gonna die for nothing, and I need to kill cav. And the best opportunity in the game that I'm gonna have to kill cav is 1v1 my Kushite Royal Guard versus any of his cav without infantry support. And that's exactly what I'm getting here. But because it's my general, I feel the need to keep him alive, when actually he's just giving me a very profitable fight that I should just accept and maximize my damage on his cav, and then just my infantry and my remaining other cav units can still clutch it out in the end game. But we'll see what happens instead. He chases me. Again, over here, infantry fight, still going well. 190 Chotels, 99 Epidemics, 73 Epidemics, 67 Epidemics. Some Cavs still alive for me as well. His infantry is dead. There's just no infantry left on the field except for one Chosen Sword, which is pretty healthy, but again, it's no match for mine. I still have some Cav, and here I get caught, and now it's just over. Again, even here, it's best to just stand and fight. By running away, my Cav, okay, 23 kills, by the way. 23 kills on a full unit. Let's see how many kills it ends the game with. And how it could literally just take this fight, and it would at least do good damage here. At least it would do good damage. Again, look at my infantry. My infantry has cleaned up, and his cav isn't healthy. His cav is not healthy at all. 44 on the general, and these units that are chasing my general. But again, if my general just took this fight, these units would not be that healthy after they killed it. Yes, they would kill it eventually. But I'm okay with my general dying if my rest of my infantry are super healthy, and they are. But now the problem is my unit is now, it was at 55, and now it's at 20, so it lost 35 men and got 3 kills against his cav. And in a regular melee fight, that would never, ever, ever be the case. My cav would just get better kills than his cav would, and they would trade cost effectively. But instead, they're not going to do that. They're going to go trying to run away, getting caught, and now we're just in trouble because now he actually has a pretty healthy cav force. There are these 2 elite cav, which isn't a lot, but my general isn't healthy, so I don't have any healthy cav anymore. And this is just a huge problem. There's just not much I can do except hope that my disciples can kill things, but they're also getting more tired and more tired as the fight goes on. My general seems to be alive, but I can't second wind anything. Probably I second winded my general to try to let him escape. Now he can't take any fights anymore because now he's just gonna die. But even now, the play is to just take the fight and just engage. But I wasn't doing that, and yeah, this is just a critical mistake. I mean, he's just gone 30 men, 40 men have died, and 3 kills against his cav. Only against his cav. I haven't killed any infantry, or fought any infantry, when that would not be the case. So taking the fight over here, the 1v1 or 1v2, forcing, also, like, my general would just win that fight, or he would have to send support, which means my infantry wouldn't be getting charged, etc, etc, etc. The fight would just be extremely good for me. Now, it's not clear that that's true. I try to get a frenzy charge here to kill off this heavy horse, but you can see these charges are going to start to do more and more damage against depleted units. Here I get a shield wall, which is actually quite nice, so he just... Actually, it takes a while to do that, but he avoids that fight. And yeah, I mean, my guys are just exhausted, tired, and not healthy, so his cav charges are just absolutely devastating at this point. I'm just popping abilities to try to maximize the damage I can do to his cav, which is significant, no doubt. But it just means that my guys are going to be exhausted, which I guess they almost already were, so it's not that bad. But his cav, you know, his cav are losing men. But it's just like, imagine, like, this cav is 27 men. Imagine if I had to fight my general first, right? It would just be dead. It just wouldn't be alive right now. This cav would also be dead. His general might be alive after it came to kill my general, but it would just be 1 unit, again, instead of 2 or 3. And my infantry could probably hold that with whatever cav I had left. Instead, it's just not really a winnable situation. And we'll just skip through. He also has, like, 1 slinger back here. I don't know if they have ammo. Seems like they have some ammo, probably not much. Here I use my general to engage, and look, like here and here, I'm gonna kill this noble horse, which is nice. I'm gonna get another charge into his general, so it's not like he has a lot of cav left. In fact, he has almost no cav left, even after wasting my general completely. But because I did that, huge mistake, he's gonna have just enough, and I mean just enough, to end the game. And my general just died as well. All my units are exhausted. They can't really get good charges anymore. And even then, extremely close game. If I was allowed to rest fully, maybe I can clutch this. But obviously, he's not going to give me the chance to do that. And now he just disengages. He has the slinger. I mean, there's just no hope. But really, like you can see, with how many, he has literally 31 cav, or 33 cav men remaining. And my general got 3 kills on his cav as a full unit, fighting no infantry. Right? Like it's obvious that I would have won this game without that mistake, but those are the kind of, indecision where I ran away, just, should I fight, should I go? That kind of stuff can kill you, and it did in this game for sure. And now he's just going to finish it off with a good cav charge from his gen. And I guess he doesn't really even have to, but yeah, they're forcing me to turn or to shoot. Is he out of ammo? He is not out of ammo, but just gonna kill it off. So a very nice game from him, but I think I was convinced that this strategy would definitely work. I wasted a lot of his ammo. His slingers weren't a threat at all. Sure, they got some good value on my archers, but it was value I was willing to give up. And you can see my disciples absolutely cooked. My cav actually did really well, getting chevrons except for my gen. Again, one of my cav, okay, it died for nothing, but that's sort of inevitable. His cav got really good kills, but that's sort of also kind of guaranteed because they're just killing low tiers. But if my gen got these kind of kills, it would be easily in my favor. But a big mistake has allowed Seminaked into the final game with a chance to win, which a chance is more than you need. Or maybe I should say it's all that you need. And so yeah, we go into game 5. I was convinced that he was taking the same army. I'm probably, maybe he would expect something different from me, but there's no reason for him to change because it's worked every time he's taken it. I changed nothing as well. And we go into the final game. Yeah, with all to play for, kind of everything understood. But I was convinced that, again, I knew like the mid to end game strat for me is once the cav charges have settled down and stuff, is just condense, condense, condense. Get your infantry close to each other, get some cav and support, force him to take the infantry and cav versus infantry and cav fight, instead of him being able to isolate units. And I figured I'd be in good shape. So yeah, I mean, if you might have already seen this game, but we'll go through it, focusing on the gameplay this time instead of the other stuff, let's say. So again, my early gameplay is going to be the same strat. It's going to be isolate on the right side, avoid the left side. You can see I'm constantly moving towards the right. Here I was better about reforming to face directly instead of being curved so that my entire unit will shoot. Just taking the slinger 1v1. He's giving me back shots. He's getting first shots, but he's also running away and eating shots in the back, so it's kind of favorable for me. Again, just rotating to avoid. Again, taking back shots. Let's see, has anyone died yet? Nope. Boring game. Again, just runs away and eats back shots again, so 89 to 88. So this has a small advantage at the start here. But again, his slingers are also just better than mine. 86 now to 86, so we're actually trading equally, even though his slingers are better because I'm getting these rear shots. Actually killing another guy there. I do make a big mistake here and let him get a nice volley from these guys, so they get 4 kills. Again, this is small margins, but it's a game that will be decided by small margins, so everything counts. Here I decide, look, I can actually just face his slingers. He's not outflanking me here. I can face these guys 1v1. I'll try to archer dodge. I don't know about that though. Here I try to post up on his flank a little bit, try to get more sword side shots. Just everything I can do to try and maximize the archer performance here. And now I'm just going to go into a straight up war. A war of missiles. His slingers are kind of diffing mine now, 73 to 46, so not great. So I just throw a volley of Pila here just to even that out a little bit. I don't want to use both volleys, but I know that I'm only realistically going to get one volley because these are going to get hit by cav. So yeah, we still have ammo here. I should get closer so my archers hit more of their shots. So that's kind of what I start to realize. But you can see 50 men, 64. My archers are winning this pretty handily. I guess here it's a little bit closer actually. I think here the sword side actually was pretty important. But here again, it's 49 to 42, so yeah, the fights have evened out. Here I'm on my last like couple volleys, so I'm just gonna get a little bit closer. He actually gets closer to me with his knives out, so trying to trick me into thinking that he's out of ammo, but I just know he isn't because slingers have more ammo than archers. So that was interesting. But he actually gets so close that he just eats like insane damage at the end here. So yeah, I mean, this was good for me. But my archers are gonna run out of ammo here, so we're going to essentially actually try and take shots on my Kushite slaves, which aren't really a great target either, I would say. I guess they're in a boxy formation, so they'll take a little more losses, but yeah, I route a slinger here entirely. These slingers are down to 40, 30, 39. Oh, these guys are actually out of ammo, so that's pretty awesome. But yeah, you can see he actually does have ammo. Like, he stops going into melee mode, so they do have ammo. But these slingers are out. These slingers still have a little bit, I guess, but probably not much. And yeah, so now it's kind of on us to do battle like men in the melee combat.
Double time.
Yeah, these guys are out of ammo, so they can just be sacrificed. I mean, that's what I'm thinking of my archers. Like, these guys can just be sacrificial lambs, like block charges and stuff. That could be kind of funny. Which is good. Like, if I put them in a boxy formation, he could charge them, but his cav's gonna go around, and then these guys will get really good Pila, so that could potentially work. Here he tries to run up for my cav, so then I decide to, like, just YOLO charge my archers at him. I have no idea who would actually win this archer fight. But any kills that I get would, again, just be high value, because the slingers still have ammo. Charge! But he gets away. And now I'm like, okay, I kind of have to do something. He does still have ammo, so I'm like, okay. There's no reason for me to, like, rush anything, but I can hit somewhere as an entire army. He starts to flank me a little bit as well. So I decide to, like, go again and attack his right side. I'm going to run away on the left and then just go hit the right side. Because, again, anywhere I can, if I can get an early engagement without him surrounding me, it's going to favor me a lot more. And here it's only 2 cav and 1 infantry, so it's, like, pretty easy for me to hit this. So, at any moment now, I'll do that. So yeah, I'm going to run away on this side, get farther away from him, because again, I don't want him to attack my flank like he did in game 2. I'm going to bring over Disciple, and reform here, and again, I just want to kill this flank, if possible. But I know that what it's really going to do is bait him to attack in the center, if I run to the right, so I have to be careful about that. But you can see, it's a very compact, a very defensive formation, and now I say, okay, let's go for it. I use my archer to block any potential charge. And if I can get the charge into both of these units with my elite cav, that's like super high value. But he just runs away, so I say, okay, that's not gonna happen. Again, I can't afford to get too isolated. It's just bad. Almost fuck up with my Kushite slave infantry. I completely forgot to micro them. I was like, oh shit, you can probably just charge them. That's not good. And so now we're in a holding pattern, and then he decides to just hit attack and go for it, which is good. And yeah, so here he goes up the center. Again, I'm going to use my archers to try to block as much as I can. I'm going to try to countercharge his heavy horse where possible. Let's see, do some of these horses get stuck? I mean, they do, kind of, right? So, kind of good charges from him here. Like, not getting Pila here. Maybe if I was out of Pila, but I am getting Pila from behind this, so that's pretty good. Gonna get my Shotel into his unit here. Gonna get countercharge here where he's losing a lot of men. He runs over this Kushite slave infantry, but does take Pila, so it's okay. And again, on the flank, I'm actually quite good. He doesn't have any cav surrounding me on this flank, so I'm actually pretty good to just take a fight here. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna bring my Disciple into this fight. I'm just gonna run over you on this flank where you don't have cav, and my flank is actually quite secure. Here I have an Armored Desert Cab pulling out. He's actually chasing with his heavy horse, but it's good because I have good support here with my general and stuff like that, so that's actually fine. Epidemic gonna get in here, and he's gonna get charged, but it's kind of through his own men. It's not really a good charge, so I don't hate that. This heavy horse is eating a lot of damage. This noble horse, or Kushite Roguard, sorry, can get into this noble horse, and again, just a clean 1v1, so it's gonna favor me every day of the week. Here he does have a free Celtic getting through, so I'm gonna have to stall that for now. And this heavy horse actually is causing some good threat. Here I also figure I can take a fight because I'm going to have support, and I also have these spears, which can come support. These Kushite slaves actually pull out of this fight really nice and get into this fight. So this is actually a decent fight. Like, yeah, I'm going to lose it, but I'm going to do a lot of damage to his general, so that's good. Here, yeah, my disciples are just cooking his units here. Shotel's cooking his infantry. I have a lot of spear support here, cav support. So he's not breaking through anywhere anytime soon. My Kushite Roguard doing really well in this fight. He is breaking through though, but I guess I'm also breaking through his Celtic warrior. So my disciple is in this fight. And anytime there's a disciple, I kind of want to support them. And again, cav and infantry versus cav and infantry is going to favor me every time. Here, my general just went into this fight against his heavy horse. Again, that's just a good fight for me. And again, this time I wasn't going to make the same mistake. I was going to say, yeah, we're going to stick it out to the end. Because I kind of have to, right? Like, there's just no option but to stick it out to the end. Again, these fights are actually pretty decent for me. where these Kushite slaves can get their 20 boons versus large going. This unit actually, like, I thought this was a really good fight. Like, I was 20 men up here, but for some reason this unit ends up performing really bad, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Here he recharges me with his other heavy horse, but again, my general just has to take this fight, and he's just so much better than heavy horse that he's going to do well in this fight. But he is offering a lot of support into this fight. Like, he can surround me in a lot of ways here, but the crucial thing is that my disciples are starting to win their fights. They've won this fight, they're about to win here as well. And here I get a nice charge into his general. I mean, like, I was fought from this way, so I can still charge his gen. And it's actually really crucial, because it gets me away from this Levy Freeman and from these two cav. And this is just a good fight for me now, because I'm just blob attacking him here. And here I say, okay, I'm going to run away from this disciple, and I just need to get everything into this blob. Because my disciples will just cook his cav in a blob. He has my general completely surrounded, yes, that's true. So I can't run away, so I need to support it, and, like, support it as fast as possible. Again, here, Kushite Royal Guard just winning easily, killing an entire noble horse. Disciple winning here. This fight, again, very good for me, actually, because I have the spear support. Shotel, 90 versus 75, easy win. And now this disciple is also just cleared his other unit. So now I have two disciples getting to this blob. My general's still 50 men. He's been fighting two heavy horse for like a minute now. And got charged, and rear charged, and is fighting 11 Freeman. And he's still 50 men. Like, he's going to start dying fast now. But my disciples are in time. They're going to get into this fight. And if he stays in this fight now, it's just going to be GG for me. Because I have two disciples in the fight, and they're just going to cook his cav, and his infantry, and everything. My general may still die, but probably won't. Okay, so it looks like, I mean, it still looks good for me here. I guess he brings his entire chosen sword into this fight, so he's gonna kill off my royal guard, but again, they've already killed a noble horse, so that's good value. And now everything just comes into this fight. He runs away with his general, so I can pull out. He ran away this way, so I pull out this way. And again, now I'm like, okay, I've done the job. Like, I know this is a winning position now because I've done so much damage to his cav, and my disciples are concentrated. Remember, we're concentrated. We have a spear support, we have cav support, so we're winning the game if we're concentrated here. And I actually get some nice peel on the back there of my holy. So yeah, these chosen swords are gonna come cook this, but again, it doesn't matter because cav numbers are my general at 35, his general at 34. He's got a couple of heavy horse here. Actually, quite a few heavy horse, like 3 heavy horse. So not over. He has a noble horse at 25, but my infantry is just so healthy. And again, I have enough cav to potentially make this work, and my disciples are literally 105, 104, a spear. Like another disciple 77, Shotel here. So this time, his cav is charging me, but my disciples are healthy and fresh, rather than unhealthy and exhausted. And again, every time he's gonna fight my cav or my infantry, my cav is in support. And now it's just gonna be a hard end game for him. He actually does kill this Kushite Royal Guard off. This was not good for me. But now his cav is so depleted that they can't really charge my disciples without taking significant damage. And he has no infantry left besides this one chosen sword. So as long as I just group up here, the end game is pretty good. 31 heavy horse, 25. Like, these units are so depleted. 29, 25. 15, like, these aren't 40 or 50 man cav units. These are very low cav units that are fighting elite killers that just kill really fast, and they just kill so fast. And my general is the healthiest cav unit on the field. Like, this cav unit is 14, so my general can still just keep taking fights, like, no problem. The Kushite Royal Guard will die eventually to all his cav, but because he's supporting my infantry aren't eating insanely bad charges. They're taking a very positive fight. Infantry and cav against just cav in this case. He doesn't even have any infantry. This disciple is a little isolated though, and the Shotel, so I'm gonna kind of eat shit here. Gets another nice peel volley. This chosen sword is absolutely cooking, and he actually runs away, which is really smart here. But again, my general is just strong. My general is just strong here. He doesn't have anything to kill it, and his cav is too weak to kill my disciples, so it's just a recipe for disaster essentially. He has no way to kill this. Like, he just has no way to kill this. And every time it's just going to be a combo fight, and my general can be used to essentially block his charges. He can't get infinite cycle charges anymore until he kills my general, and to kill my general he has to sacrifice cav, so it's sort of like a perpetual cycle of going badly for him. And of course these disciples are just healthy. They're just healthy, and I mean, they cooked again, as in every game in the series they just cooked. Maybe he can conjure up something with his slingers, but they don't have a lot of ammo. Like, this slinger's out of ammo. This slinger probably has only a couple volleys. So, because I was able to trade my archers for them in the early game, um, everything is good. He just has no cav left. He doesn't have the numbers. He can probably kill my general with his slingers, but disciples do have 50% block chance, so it's not clear exactly how he's going to be able to kill them. And of course, he does have the one healthy chosen sword. I suppose that would help, but with 3 disciples, it's just not gonna happen. He concedes. I mean, maybe it was worth at least seeing if the chosen sword could cook something with like a cav charge, but realistically, the game was over. So yeah, in the end, the army paid off on the on the final attempt, um, and the strat worked out. So a very close series, really well played to Seminaked, except for the bitching about red line camping or whatever. But yeah, gameplay wise, it was a very good series. Um, and yeah, tough matchup. Like this army is definitely strong, but I managed to come up with a decent solution at least. Maybe one day, maybe I should make a Kush video akin to the Swaby one and talk about some of the key things about Kush, because I also had some really interesting plans for grand finals if I was to face Seminaked again. If you made it through the lower bracket, which obviously ended up not happening, so whatever. But there were some other plans that I had, which were interesting as well. But yeah, Kush is an interesting faction, relying so heavily on these epidemics. I think if you play it properly as Arverni, you're winning. Just that Seminaked never was able to avoid the epidemics, and maybe that was partially due to my good play. And balancing like how much I should be aggressive with my units versus letting him come into me. But realistically, like it's just if you avoid the epidemics, you're in really good shape. Um, not easier said than done, I suppose, but not that difficult, maybe. But in the end, yeah, a very close series. 5 games, so it was tight. And this con in general was just one of the best cons in recent memory in terms of just pure like how close were the competitors, who was gonna win was very unclear. The series were always going to 5 games, so in that sense, it was really good. One of the most fun to play in recent memory. Although I fucking hate Kush, and I mean, okay, it was fun to play because it was like a problem-solving challenge, and I think with a normal faction, I probably would have won the tournament fairly easily if recent results are anything to go by. So it was interesting to have to try to play with a faction that's considered weaker, but it was not fun. When it goes bad, it goes really bad with Kush. And having Navatea recently as well, I want a good faction. I mean, I had Massilia last year, I guess, which was okay, but yeah, I mean, it was still a very fun tournament because the games were so close and competitive. It made the tournament a lot better, I think, for everyone. Maybe so much so that it spilled over into a little bit of a less good situation, we could say. But from my perspective, I'm quite happy with how the games went. And I posted the other games like the Safado series with Soap and with Seminaked and stuff. Just insane series all around. So well played to everyone. Thanks to everyone who participated in the con. Of course, the next con hopefully will be next January. I don't see any reason why it should stop because we had like 60 people play. The numbers are as good as ever, really. So, yeah, I'm so glad everyone who decided to play. If you find these videos interesting and you want to play in the next Cup of Nations, quickly, if you're not, if you're newer, the idea is basically you play with one faction for the entire tournament, and the factions are balanced through rules, basically that like limit the elite factions and or like the better factions and give bonuses to the worst factions. But it's a really fun tournament. It's been going on since 2008, blah, 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 blah. It's the most famous tournament. It's the best tournament of the year. And it's the most attended tournament of the year and has been quite consistent. So, yeah, it's a bit of a ramble at the end of the video, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I have some other plans for videos coming up soon, so hopefully there'll be a bit more content on this end. But yeah, thanks for watching and see you guys in the next one. Peace.